Maybor Stanislas never imagined that his life would change so drastically. As a young bishop at the age of 30, he held an honorable position in the church, representing 8 provinces in Burundi and overseeing dozens of priests. To him, Christianity was the only path to salvation. Islam, not only was it wrong, but it was a religion he hated with all his heart. But life is a mystery. In 2013, without any intention, Stanislas attended a debate between Christian and Muslim leaders. Initially, he came with the goal of defending his faith. He was confident he could dismantle the arguments of the Muslims present. But what happened was the opposite. His defense began to falter. The verses from the Quran recited during the debate resonated deeply within him. He started questioning the doctrines he had held onto so tightly. There was something in the Quran that I couldn't deny, he recalled. Those verses spoke with a logic and peace he had never encountered in the texts he had studied. At the time, he didn't know that the seed of truth had been planted in his heart. He attended debate after debate, hoping to strengthen his faith once more. But the more he listened, the greater his doubts became. Quranic verses about the oneness of Allah and the role of Jesus as a prophet of humanity, not the Son of God, slowly replaced his previous beliefs. He was shaken. Had he been teaching lies to the priests under his care all this time? Finally, the turning point came. With full conviction, Stanislas decided to embrace Islam. I knew this would be a difficult path, he said. He changed his name to Maybor Abdullah as a symbol of his new journey. But this decision did not come without consequences. News of his conversion to Islam spread like wildfire in his community. The church acted quickly. They revoked all financial rights previously granted to him. The house he had lived in, which belonged to the church, was taken away. His reputation was destroyed. He was even accused of being possessed by evil spirits by security authorities. They wanted to see me crushed, but I found an irreplaceable peace in Islam, he said, his eyes glistening with tears. Under mounting pressure, Abdullah was forced to leave everything behind and move to Muyinga province. There he started a new life as a Muslim. Though it was difficult, he felt free for the first time. He continued his Islamic studies in Gitega and at Zawiya school, deepening his knowledge of the religion that strengthened his faith. After months of learning, Abdullah decided to take a bold step. He began preaching to Christians in the 8 provinces he had once overseen. Allah has given me the strength to change thousands of hearts, he said. Within a year, he successfully helped many people embrace Islam. In 2017, his life's journey reached a peak he had never imagined. He received an invitation from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to perform Hajj. He could hardly believe it. I asked myself, is this real? Is God truly calling me to perform Hajj? Even though I didn't have a single penny, he said with an emotional voice. When he saw the Kaaba for the first time, tears streamed down his face. All the pain, betrayal, and suffering he had endured seemed to vanish. I realized that Allah had planned everything for me. Everything I went through led me to this place. This is the truth, and I am grateful for it. Today, Maybor Abdullah is an inspiring figure for many. From a bishop who hated Islam, he has become a preacher spreading messages of peace and truth to the world. True happiness is found in walking the path of Allah, he said with a smile full of conviction. Maybor Abdullah's journey is a living testament that guidance can come to anyone, anywhere, at any time. From a bishop who despised Islam, he transformed into a steadfast preacher on the path of Allah. The challenges, insults, and pressures he faced did not extinguish his spirit. Instead, they only strengthened his faith. Now he continues to preach, spreading the peaceful messages of Islam and helping others find the truth. My life is proof that Allah always has the best plan, he said. With unwavering conviction, Maybor Abdullah moves forward, proving that true happiness can only be found in submission to the Creator. Tears filled their eyes. The sobs echoed through the pews of a church that had once been warmed by the sermons of a man they so deeply respected. The name Hilan Heggi, once whispered with admiration, was now shrouded in sorrow and loss. The kind-hearted pastor, the patient spiritual guide, had made a choice that stunned his entire community. He had turned away from Christ. He had chosen Islam. The moment that changed everything happened on February 22nd, 2023, when Hilan Heggi officially recited the Shahada and became a Muslim. The world watched in astonishment. Among Christians, his decision was like a bolt of lightning in broad daylight, splitting their hearts with pain and confusion. They wondered, why did he leave us? Why did he abandon the faith that had elevated him to a place of honor? But for Heggi, now known as Sayyid Abdul Latif, his decision was a long journey toward a truth that had burned within him for over 20 years. "The fire of Islam has kindled my soul," he said, his voice shaking the hearts of those who heard him. "I tried to close my eyes, tried to ignore it, but the flame never died. I realized it wasn't a fire of destruction, but a guiding light." It all began at a small Islamic center, hidden in the Rust Belt of Appalachia. At the time, he was merely a spiritual wanderer, full of questions and doubt. But there, he found something he had never experienced before, a peace that seeped into the deepest recesses of his soul. From that moment, the call of Islam resonated in his heart, even as he continued walking a different path. When he finally declared his intention to convert in October 2022, a storm began to gather around his life. Those closest to him tried to persuade him to return, but Heggi knew there was no turning back. Every time he looked within, he found a growing longing to prostrate before the one God, uniting in love with the Creator, humanity, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. "Islam is my home," he said, his eyes filled with conviction. "I feel like a child who had been lost for so long, and I have finally come home. It feels peaceful, like feeling the warmth of an embrace after years of cold." The welcome from the Muslim community was heartwarming. He, once a leader, now stood among them as a brother, greeted with smiles and open arms. Their hospitality, their warmth, "I've never felt anything like it before," he said softly. "They accepted me unconditionally. Their love is a reflection of true Islam." Heggi had once been a Byzantine Catholic priest at the Holy Resurrection Monastery in Wisconsin, revered for his wisdom and praised for his patience. But the life he left behind is now a shadow of the past. He had dreamed of building an Eastern Christian monastery in California, a grand vision he now released with a light heart. For him, his spiritual journey had reached its true destination. After declaring his faith in Islam, his phone never stopped ringing. Messages poured in from around the world, some filled with curiosity, others with anger. "Why did you leave Christ?" was the question that relentlessly followed him. Yet with his characteristic gentleness, Sayyid Abdul Latif responded, "I never abandoned my love for God. I simply found it more deeply and truly in Islam." Now, his old name is swept away like dust from a road. Sayyid Abdul Latif has found his true home, where his heart is no longer restless and his soul no longer lost. The world may mourn his departure, but he knows this journey was the destiny that had long awaited him. And finally, he is home. Hilan Heggi's journey to Islam is a story of the courage to follow the heart's calling, even if it means leaving behind everything he once knew and loved. Amid the tears of those who grieve and the astonishment of a watching world, this tale reminds us that the search for true truth knows no bounds, and faith is a deeply personal journey filled with mystery. As Sayyid Abdul Latif, he has found the peace he had long sought. Peace in surrendering to Allah, eternal love for the Creator, and unshakable tranquility in Islam. His story will continue to inspire those who dare to walk toward the light, even on lonely and quiet roads. In the end, coming home is not about a place, It is about finding a home within the faith that ignites the soul.